Well, good morning, everybody here in the West Coast. Good afternoon in the East Coast. It's Wednesday. And if it's Wednesday, it's Hump Day happens. Remember, it's a chance for us to look back on Monday and Tuesday and make whatever shifts we need for Thursday and Friday. And I'm Marcia Gleit, CEO of Levity Leadership. And we are going to have a amazing guest today. And we will have some fun. We will have some levity. We will have some laughter. And are going to create a amazing amount of content today. Lil Barcaski is my guest today. She is the master of words. How's that? I gave you a new title, Master of Words. So, hey, Lil, so thank you so much for being here today. And I know that you're having some technical issues today, which is always, how it works here. Because if it's Wednesday, it's Hump Day happens, and anything could happen, right? So, Lil, welcome. And can you tell everybody a little bit about you? And then we're going to actually talk a lot about content and messaging and speaking and book writing. And we're going to do all that. We're going to talk really fast today because there's so much to talk about.
Okay, cool. Yes, I'm Lil Barcaski. I'm the vice president of Longbar Creative Solutions. We are kind of a full service business consultancy, but we like to think that we work from building your business from the book out. So a lot of what we do is work with authors, speakers, small businesses. A lot of their content needs to be rewritten. They sometimes just need a website or things like that. But our company does the holistic, and you like to say the WH holistic.
The holistic, that's right.
Yeah, holistic view of a business, and we can come in and work with them on just about everything. My part of the company is primarily running the ghostwriting and publishing division, which is GWN Publishing. And we do pretty much everything from books to blogs to content writing. And I also head up a lot of I work with Christina, my admin, to head up our web team, which will make websites for our authors and for our business people, etc.
That's awesome. So, one of the things you mentioned a bunch of different things, right? We have a lot, but the idea is having that thread that ties it kind of all together from the branding and your brand to your message being consistent on all of the different platforms, whether you're blogging, you're writing a book, or you're writing a chapter. But it really all starts with the message.
Indeed. And that message is, people think of branding, they think of logos, they think of colors, they think of, Coca-Cola is beautiful. We'll never forget, put it on the moon, it's Coca-Cola. But it is more than just that, though, in the messaging, because there is, the words and the intention, your value proposition, who you are, who you serve. That message has to come across in everything from your logo to your mission statement to that on your front page value proposition of who you are and what you do. So we create a lot of that with people. And again, for some of our clients, it means writing a workbook, writing a course of some sort, creating a book that explains what they do, and getting out and speaking about those things. So we do a lot of that. We also work on a lot of compilation books for groups that want to work together as a team. I like to say writing is a team sport. So.
Exactly. And I want the gold this year. I think I'm in 3 compilation books already this year. Maybe 4, actually.
Every business owner should be in at least 1 compilation book a year, because you'll never get the value putting an ad in a magazine or Facebook ads that you would getting working with a decent sized group of authors, 20, 30 authors in a book really spreads the word about who you are.
Yeah. And I really want to talk about compilation books, but I want to kind of get us there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because for once, they've been telling me, my producer and my admin, that I need to have a path to get to where I want to go. So I'm going to try that today, of all people, with you. So it's going to be fun. So I want to talk about messaging, because you walk into a networking group, right? And it's really about that first maybe 30 seconds to maybe a minute to engage somebody to want to listen to you. And the thing that floors me the most is when you speak on messaging, right? And you tell your 3-minute, right? And can you share that? Because it is so, it really is the powerful drop the mic when you hear that. And I know you told so many times that you don't see it that way, but for somebody who hasn't heard it, go for it. I don't even want to say any more.
Okay. I want to preface that by saying, when we're in a networking group, sometimes we have 30 seconds, we have a minute. to explain who we are, and that's difficult. When you're given the opportunity, and I'm often on given the opportunity to do a 3-minute speech, I have one that it's rough, and I do it my way. I'll change every time I do it, but I like this kind of gives people that, like you say, that moment of, oh, this is what you do as a writer, as a ghostwriter, particularly because I do a lot of ghostwriting. And I start my speech with something that generally drops the mic, and this is all true stuff. When I was 6 years old, my uncle jumped off the Empire State Building. He was my father's only brother, his younger kid brother. And it left my father, who had up to that point been a jovial, happy dad, a very sad and confused guy. And all my life, he was very negative. My mother died kind of young and left me my father. She sort of willed him to me. And I had many, many years with him. And I tried desperately to explain to him the differences in our personality because I spent most of my life trying to cheer him up and cheer up the situation. I was a very positive kind of kid. So I told him my favorite story about negativity and positivity. And it's about this father who had two sons. And the one son was extremely positive. He's always happy go lucky. Everything is fine. Everything's going to be great. And the other son was always negative. No matter what he did, no matter where he went, nothing was going to be right. And the father was very worried because when you raise two boys, you want them to have a sense of reality of the world. So he thought, I'm going to change the situation. So one Christmas, he decides, while the boys are sleeping, he sneaks into each of their rooms. In the negative boys' room, he fills the room completely, top to bottom, floor to ceiling, every kind of present, everything you could imagine. And he walks away. And then he walks into the other boys' room, the very positive kid, and he fills it floor to ceiling with horseshit. Pardon my French. And he thinks, well, this is going to do it. He waits a few hours, and then he comes in. I'm sorry about the noise. And he walks into the negative kid's room, and he has opened every present, and he's sitting on the floor, and he is crying his eyes out. He's sitting on the floor weeping. And he says, son, what could you possibly be crying about? You have every present known to man. You've got everything. And the kid says, well, I really wanted a G.I. Joe doll, and I didn't get one. And that's the only thing I wanted. He's weeping. So then he goes, well, that's bad. He walks into the positive kid's room, and he thinks this is going to do it. And there is the kid sitting on the floor, throwing the horseshit up in the air and screaming and hollering and whooping, woohoo! Yeah, this is great. Oh my God, he says, something wrong with this kid. Son, he says, you're in a room on Christmas morning, you have nothing in the room but crap everywhere. Why are you cheering? Why are you happy? And the kid looks up at him with all the sincerity in the world, and he says, you got to be kidding, Dad. With all this horseshit, there must be a pony. My father listened to me, and he went, yeah, whatever. So here I was a few years later. He's worked living with me, and I bought a restaurant, a little cafe, and it was tanking. And my business partner and I said, let's throw a big party. And we got hamburgers and hot dogs and beer, got bands to come play in the yard. It's going to be great. And it's pouring, 10 o'clock in the morning, pouring. And my good old negative dad looks at me and says, well, there you go. You're going to tank. You're going to lose the business. You're going to lose your shirt. I said, Dad, it's Florida. Give it a little time. By noon, the sun was out. The sun was shining. People started to come. The bands were playing. The food was going. By 3 o'clock, I'm out of everything. I'm sending people for more beer, more food. And there's Dad sitting there watching a terrific band. He's got a burger in one hand and a beer in the other. And I look over and I said, Dad, what do you think? Pretty good, right? And I got to tell you guys, this was seriously the most important, possibly impactful moment of my entire life. And my dad looked up at me and said, I think I see the pony.
Mm.
That's my story. I tell stories for a living. My name's Lil Barcaski. I'm a ghostwriter. Now let's find a way to tell your story. Let's find your pony.
I just love that. And you know what I love about that story is, first of all, it's so engaging, and there's a lesson to the story, right? And you tie it back to where you started, right? You know that impactful moment that changed your dad's life and changed your life in a lot of ways too, right? But he heard you.
Yeah.
But then you end it with, this is who I am. That's my story. And everybody has a story.
Yep.
They just don't know how to tell it.
Nope, they don't.
They don't know how to tell it.
Many moments in our lives we don't know. And look, story. I write a lot of memoirs, obviously, and I apologize for the small dog who barks at everything. And I have no Wi-Fi. I'm in the house on a phone. But Yeah, we all have a story to tell, and even in business, we have a business story. Why did you bother to become this or that or the other thing? Why? I don't care if you're a plumber or you're a business coach. You chose something. There's a reason,
Mm.
or it shows you. And I always say people do what they want 100% of the time. And people say, "Oh, that's not possible. We always have to do." No, no. You chose a thing because you wanted to do it for whatever reason. So now that you're going to do that, and you're going to be, what's your unique thing? What's that one thing you do that nobody else does better than you do? If you can tell that story, for me, it's writing stories. I tell people stories regardless of what the thing is, and finding that message in your story is how you can express to people in the best possible way why they should come to you instead of someone else.
Mm.
Why they should work with you as a coach, Marsha. Why they should work with someone else as a consultant, or why they should call you to plumb the bathroom. Why you? Why us?
plumb the plumb the bathroom. You keep going back to that, and we are, at my husband's office, right? I've told you that there was a leak in the women's bathroom that came through the walls and the floor, and so we're right at the cusp of, we got to get out of the office, and so every time you say like plumber, I'm like, really? It's like it brings up so many. But with each thing like that, right? Somebody says something and it reminds you of something else, and that's the cool thing in life, right? Is that I can be listening to your story and your message, and what's really important is so I connect to it. That I'm like, oh, she can. I do have a story, right? She can tell my story, and we laugh all the time because I'm like, Lil, stop making me write these and you'll go through it and you go, you just have to say blah, 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 blah. I can't write that fast. Just write it down for me. And it's so easy for you. It comes right off the top of your head. And you're like, I can't tell you what I just said. Right. But it's funny how I was just coaching somebody yesterday and I was talking to her and she's like, I'm writing it all down. I said, good, because I won't be able to repeat it. But that's my genius because I hear what somebody's saying. This is the problem they have, and right, and I move the pieces around a little bit, and I'm like, boom, this is what you need, and that's what I love about working with you because, we'll do that. Like I'll be like, this is what I think we need to do, and you're like, yeah, and this is how we have to say it, and I'm like, well, then you say it, and we'll get it done because we take what the pieces, when you partner like that, you take the pieces of what you each do well and you don't do the other stuff that you don't do as well. So messaging, I want to kind of turn into talk about a little bit about content creation, right? So you have your message, right? And now everyone's like, oh, I got to put my message out on social media and I need to email and I need to blog and and the laundry list goes down and down. And then you get an email from somebody who says, don't do any of that, do this. And you're like, okay, so I let go of all of that stuff and now I'm doing this. Well, now that's not working. So how do you help your clients through that, knowing what you should do, what's the best path for you? And I know it's going to be different for each person, but what is your logic and your thinking as you go through that?
Well, every client has I like to think of things in terms of talents and superpowers, right? Your talents are I can write. That's a talent. It's not really a superpower. My superpower is intuitiveness. My superpower is kindness. My superpower is understanding. Right? There are certain things that you are really good at. That you have talents at things and you have superpowers at. So we have to first start with, like I said, your value proposition. Who are you? Who do you serve? What's going to happen with that person? How can you do something for them that no one else can do? And once we really know your superpowers, we know what your kind of your values are. I love the word values. I think that we value things are valuable. What are our intense values have to do with what we value and what we find valuable. So once we know all those things, we could say, well, this person is really, really going to be effective in this area. They're going to help this group of people. They're going to specifically have a one thing that they can do better than anyone else. Then we can start to say, well, where are those people? How
Mm.
are those people? Do they listen? Do they read blogs? Do they watch videos? Are they on Facebook? If they're 35, are they on Instagram? If they're 25, are they on TikTok? Where are they? How do we reach out to them? And what's the language we use that will stick in their head, that will grab them, that will hook them? right? Yes, I believe in websites. I build them. Of course, our company does. And I also believe that on your website, you really have to be really clear about, what you do, who you serve, why you do it, what your why is, and you have to then get people there. But a website's a business card under a rock. So until you can get people to go there, no one's going. No one finds you randomly. I always tell people to worry about everything being right on their website. No one knows it's there yet. Just put something up, get something going, build it agilely. But the content of your website, your value proposition has to be clearly stated, the who you serve, the avatar, and you need to know what that person eats for breakfast. You need to know how much money they make, where they live, how many kids they have, what car they drive. Once you know exactly who the person you're speaking to, who you can help and serve best, then we can go and find them. But we have to know that first. And you have to care about them. And I really genuinely believe this. If you don't have a heart-centered mission, and I'm not trying to sound woo-woo and all that sort of thing, but you really have to give a crap about the people you're serving, or don't bother. Just don't bother. I'll go back to plumbers. There are good plumbers and bad plumbers. There are plumbers that I'll give you an example, something completely off topic. We had an RV, we own an RV, and we thought our ball joints were gone, would be thousands of dollars. And we booked a day with this gentleman way out in Grand Junction, Colorado. And he looked and he said, "There's nothing wrong with your ball joints. You just need to balance your tires." He charges $250. Well, God's sake, I'm going back to that guy for anything ever. I'm telling everybody in that area, we have family there, don't ever bring your motor vehicles, because he has values. He could have put $2,000. He could have put no ball joints on there. Charges $2,000. He didn't
Yeah.
do that, right? You have to believe that you're serving people, and that there's karma to that somehow. That if you're going to serve them a certain way, so once you know those kinds of things, then we can say, okay, where your heart is at, where your mind is at, where your service is at, what you're best at, and then we can go ahead and find the people. And it does take a combination of things, but I don't think it takes a combination of everything.
Yeah.
You cannot do everything. Maybe your best bet is to do little short videos. We're working with Doris Letts, who's got the Wishing Pixies. Doris is going to do 1-minute vignettes about why your kids should learn these kinds of values. So she's going to do 1 minute and get that out and put that out and keep putting that out. Okay, then people say, "Oh yeah, my kid does need to learn to be kinder or nicer to their sister, or brush their teeth more often," whatever it might be. So that's how we're going to message her.
Mm,
Speaking's imperative. You know,
mm.
everyone should find somewhere to speak. And I don't mean you have to go do a TED talk, but there's a networking group you can speak at and do that 3 minutes I just did, or get a 15-minute presentation, or be in Zooms. There's so many places you can join Zoom meetings and lives and things like that and talk about what you do. And I think that gets the message across better than anything. But you have to know you have to understand clearly what your value is and who you serve and how best you serve them in the way that no one else does.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely. I mean, so many nuggets in there. God, you always make me think. You make me laugh and you make me think. So those are my values.
My face.
Those are my values. I like to have fun and I like to think. So right there, that's why it works. No, and it's very interesting because you went back to branding. Going back to branding for just a second. This is what I do. I jump all over. It isn't just about your logo and your colors. That's all about you a lot of times, right? And there's so much psychology behind all that, and you can get that done, and you're going to change it, right? But people get so caught up, right, in like the little stuff, right? Like I need a logo, I need a website, I need the business cards, or I can't be in business. And it's like you need just you and your message and what you do and who you want to talk to, right? And so I love to speak, so I love to hear myself talk. I think is more what it is, but I learned over the years, I used to think I would be afraid to get up in front of people. And what stops you sometimes is that fear of perfection. And perfection, it keeps you from not launching your website, not writing your blog, not going on social media, not doing all of these things that we really need to do, right? Because if it's not just right, we're going to, and you said that. It's like, just shove something up there. So if somebody's looking for you, then, and you got to give them a website. They got to see that, oh, look, this is what I do. This is who I serve. So it all ties together Otherwise, you're going to be like, it's going to be mixed messages.
True. But I
True.
think perfection is an excuse. Perfection
Yes.
is not the reason. Perfection is the excuse for the most, I think the most important. I don't know the right word I want to say here. It's the quintessential human condition, and this is it. There's a very quintessential human condition that applies to everything and everyone. If we can solve it, we can become very famous. We can do anything we want. The human condition is such that we all are desperate to be seen, not just want to,
Mm.
desperate to be seen, and we are all petrified to be seen.
Being seen.
And that is the human condition. So we use the perfection as our excuse. Oh, my hair's not perfect. Oh, there's three. They didn't get they made a comma wrong on my book. Oh no, I can't put the book out. No, you're just afraid. I can tell you how many authors finish a book and go, no, we got to do one more thing. Oh, we got to wait. I get put the book out. If there's something wrong with the book that you forgot a whole, that's why we do second and third and fourth editions. Okay, let's put the book out. Websites, you have no excuse. A website is a living, breathing thing. It's as alive as as you and I are, and it's always going to change. And that's a good thing because Google, when they see your website is constantly adding a blog, one of the reasons they add a blog to your website is that nobody may ever read it. But the more activity, if you think of a website like runners on a track, and the other coach has been in business for 4 years and has a website they've never touched, they never blog. They ran a certain length and they're sitting down on the edge of the field. I mean, you can go past them very quickly and push up above them in the ranking by blogging, by adding content, by having questionnaires. When they see the site is moving and that things are changing,
Mm.
they know you're alive, you're breathing. That coach,
Yeah.
so you can go right past them on that track without any trouble. That's a really great SEO value trip because that's really all it is about. All the SEO in the world doesn't beat content creation and constant movement and constant, showing that you're alive, that you're doing the thing you say you do. That you have, oh, and a new client, put up a new client. Oh, we wrote another book, put up another book. Every time we write a book, we put another book cover up, say, here's another book we did. You know, that's and we're terrible. We do more of that, but we do, and our clients. That's something we do for our clients is the consistent doing that. Perfection is a lie you're telling yourself.
Yes.
That's all it is. You're just telling yourself this silly lie because you know better. You know nobody cares if if your hair's got a wisp out of the way or if the book isn't has a period it was missing. No one cares. People gloss right over that stuff.
No, we had to learn the hair thing with Zoom, right? It's because we were always looking at ourselves. And I know for me, it's like, okay, I'm on Zoom now. Let me see, what does my hair look like? But you know what? It's hot here. I don't want to blow dry my hair and get
I
every hair in place. So I went with the like, okay, it's the curly thing and it's been working. So I've been going with it, and it is, it's about perfection. And it really is about, comes back to the core of what I talk about. It's being happy with yourself.
Well, you're gorgeous. You have gorgeous style.
Oh,
I cut all my hair off yesterday because I live in Florida and my hair grows like wildfire. So
oh my
it'll be,
God.
it'll be long twice as long in 2 weeks. So I get sick of it. I just want it all gone. It's like
No, good for you. Well, you're in Florida. That's like
it's
yeah,
like
I'm not even gonna go there.
a good day. It's 85. So we have one.
No,
We have
it's
it's pretty much.
good. You're so funny. So the last thing I want to get back to is writing a book, why it's so important, and then your passion of compilation books is write a chapter and get in there. And I also want you to talk about, I know you're doing a workshop in August that I would love for our listeners to get some information about, because compilation books, and you'll talk about this, right? It's not only about you being in one and getting your message across, it's bringing together a group of people, right, that can write something on a topic, and those are powerful books as well.
Absolutely. Well, let's unpack that. So I believe that most people, not necessarily everyone, should write a book. Now, to say that there are people who simply that's not their path. But if you want to be doing what you're doing, Marsha, like you've done, and like we're going to do the second book, we have a great idea for your second book. You know, you are going out to speak. And if you're going to speak about your business and you want to elevate your business, you should be doing a couple of things. One, write some sort of a book or a series of books. I've got a woman who's going to write 5 very short books, 50, 60 pages max, about vitamins. She speaks on vitamins. She's going to educate on vitamins. So she's going to break it down. I don't know jack about vitamins, but let's call it all the vitamin C type vitamins, that what's good for bone health, whatever. She's going to break it into 5 categories, write 5 small books, and one at a time. Over the course of a year, we'll put out a 5. And each time she writes a book, it gives her something to talk about that specific element of her knowledge. And she'll go out and she'll speak on that. And that's going to bring people to her website and bring people to her courses, et cetera. So, yes. And if, in terms of memoirs, sometimes people just want to get things off their chest and they want to tell their story. But more importantly, if that's your path and you have had, and most of us have had some horrible traumatic time of it, of something, find mine is lighter compared to most people. Thank God, whatever. But, you know, if you've got something you can share to help others, again, going back to that, then you write a memoir and you get out and find the people that need to hear that story, that are helped. I like to think in terms of waves. I'm in Florida, everything's surfing for us. Everything, life's a series of kinds of waves. And either you have a wonderful wave you can ride, you have a wave that you click, I'm not going to ride that, but I'm just going to easily go over it. But most of the time we have a wave that's so big we have to go through it. And when a wave is that big and you've gone through that wave and seen the sun on the other side, you need to share that information with people who are looking at a similar wave and say, oh my God, how am I going to get through this tsunami that is coming at me? Health problems, loss of a parent, loss of a loved one, a significant other. If you can, sexual abuse, physical abuse, if you can help them get through that wave by your book and you're speaking about it, they see the idea that if they put their head down and keep moving, right? If
Mhm.
hell keep going, they're going to get there, right? So
Yeah.
things you want to write books about, and sometimes you just want to write an informational workbook. My divorce coach wrote a terrific book on divorce. It's a workbook. It gives women an idea once you go through, what do I do about parenting? What do I do about getting a new apartment? She's got all kinds of questions, and she's now teaching those things as a course. So she uses that as a course. So there's a variety of reasons to write a book, but not everyone is ready. Not everyone has the time, the chutzpah, the whatever to write a book. So if you're thinking about promoting your business and you like that idea and you still want to speak or utilize it, a compilation book's a great way to go, because you're going to write anywhere from 1,000 to maybe 2 or 3,000 words at most. Generally, about 1,500 words is the suggested, what we suggest for compilation books. And now you're writing with a team of people on a specific subject: entrepreneurship, women in entrepreneurship, climbing the ladder of entrepreneurship. We did one with 48 authors on how network marketing creates dream lives, and they all wanted people to come to talk about network marketing. Not my thing, but they're doing great. They're all speaking. They're getting more coaching clients with it, and legitimately they are not only authors, but they are best-selling authors on Amazon. The
Mm.
book went to bestseller in 4 countries, 2 categories in less than 48 hours. We got the book out there with all these people in the book. They were able to tell a lot of other people, go buy the book, go get the book.
Right.
Sold thousands of copies already, and they each have copies to go and sell and to speak with and to sign and to say, you should come talk to me about how you can make money doing something or how I can coach you. Many of them are coaches. So the compilation book can be either cathartic, it can be fun, it can be a moneymaker, but what it can do, not just for you as a writer, is give you clout as a writer, a way to speak, something to hold up when you speak, something to sell, something to promote your who you are. And every compilation book should allow you to let people know, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is how to get a hold of me. So that's one thing. The other side of that is, if you want to raise money for an organization, a nonprofit, a church, a school, a PTA group, if you have a networking group like Haley's big group, the women's group, she has like thousands of people. There might be my group here, the Working Women of Tampa Bay, lovely group, Jessica Ravelli. They give money to women starting businesses. They have a foundation. So I've been inviting Jessica to come to our things because she wants to raise money for that foundation so she can continue to give checks to young women or older women
Mm.
starting businesses, right? So you can produce one of these with us, and we have a very reasonable cost to do so. So we're doing a webinar on how that happens, what the program is. It's kind of everything you need in a box. All the promotional materials, the contracts, everything's done for you. You go out and get the people to be in the book, and you pay us a flat fee, and the rest of the money is yours. So we teach people how they can very, very easily generate minimally $7,000 to $10,000 within 90 days up front, and then residual. And we show them how to make residual income, how to create events,
Mm.
how to make, especially like a church. Geez, the pastor writes the forward. Then they have a big party at the end. The pastor signs the book. All the participants sign the book. They can advertise. They can sell advertisement. They can sell spaces in the book. Anything to give people. It's almost like a yearbook for a church.
Mm.
What we did this year, or a theater company that's struggling, a PTA group that needs to raise money for scholarships. There's a million ways to do it, and it's so simple. It's really just a matter of putting the word out that you're doing it. You'd be shocked how many people are dying to be in a book, and will be cheerful to stroke a small check to you. We get part of it, the rest of it goes to you, and it's a.
That's awesome. So give us the information about how they can sign up for the webinar.
I will, but I'm on my phone. So I'm gonna have to send it to you and have you guys maybe post it later for everyone. The webinar, I can tell you when it is. So mark your calendars, and I'll get the link to all of you, and you can send it out. It's a Wednesday, July 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be about an hour, and it's going to be on Zoom. And I have a Zoom link that I will. I may have sent you that Zoom link already, Marsha. I don't know if
Yeah, I
you have.
think I have it. Yeah.
Yeah, share that with everyone. That's on Zoom. And yeah, we want you to ask questions. I'm going to have some of my staff there too to explain what we do for you. And we're publishers. So the book will be on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all the places that a book is available, and a gorgeous book cover and beautiful interior typesetting. And we create a real book like any other book you find at any other bookstore. And then that book is available everywhere. So, and that applies to any book we do. If you want us to publish it with you, it's generally part of the ghostwriting thing.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Yeah, I always forget. I know I didn't want to write my book. I mean, I just didn't want to do it. I mean, I knew I had to. I just, it's one of those things, right? I was always told I'm not a good writer, right? And there's people say I'm not good at math, right? Because we've been told that story, and we keep telling ourselves that over and over and over, right? And
Fixed mindset. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, don't go there.
I
Don't
go
go
there.
there with mindset. You had to bring that up, right? We had a whole conversation about mindset. And we'll do it for another show because that was an interesting conversation. But I wrote a book, and I mean, it was like pulling teeth. I mean, it was not the most exciting endeavor for me, let's just say. But the most proud moment that I had was that the book came in the mail, right? And there my name was on the front cover. And it made it so real that I'm an author, and I have to own that I own that I'm a speaker. I own that I'm a coach. I own that I'm a wife and a mother, right? But I had to own that I'm an author. And I had been in a compilation book probably for 2-3 years already. And the books literally are in a box in my garage in a cabinet. I mean, and every once in a while, my husband will say, "Do we have to keep all of these?" And I'm like, "Yeah. I mean, I need them. I don't know why, but I need them, right?"
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's like you have to own that. But it was like the most rewarding moment. Is like, there I am, And the second most rewarding was my oldest sister. I'm one of three. I'm the baby. She read the book, right? And I was like, "Oh my God, you read the book from cover to cover." And she was like, "Yeah." She goes, um, you know, there was so much good information in there. It was so nicely written, and some things were new and some things were just reminders. But she goes, and that was like somebody actually read my book, and it just makes it real. And I have to remember, like, I don't even have it on my desk, so I don't know where it is, but I think it's because I don't like my old cover, so I have to order some of the new ones that you guys did for me, which are just absolutely beautiful. But yeah, but again, it was like my book does tie everything that I do together, right? And all of the coaching and all the consulting and all the talking that I do, right, is really in that 100-page book, and it's
We had a great talk last night at one of my groups about the imposter syndrome. And I think your book, when you hold your book up and you're a real author and you look at the information you've been able to put out into the world, even if some of it is stuff everybody knows, or you have a different
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
it really that really erases imposter syndrome. You can't be an imposter when you're a published author. You're not an imposter. You're the real deal, and that's
Yeah.
what I think. It's very important to have that, and it's a really good feeling. I've written so many books. I've lost that feeling.
I know,
but
but when you write a book for somebody, it almost brings it out again because it's helping them write their story and tell their story,
yeah,
and writing it in their voice versus writing it in your voice. I mean, that definitely is can be challenging and fun at the same time, and so much. I love learning from people, and that's like one of the best ways to do it is hearing their story, hearing their message, and that's one of the things I love when you and I start talking. It's like I don't know why we're always on the opposite ends of the spectrum of opinions, right? And it's really cool because um, it makes you really think through your point of view,
yeah,
right? And think through somebody who, I mean, and I'll go back to the mindset, discussion we had. And not at one point in that conversation, even though I'm like, yeah, I understand that. I agree with that. Did either of us weigh, from our point of view about it, right? It's like I could see your point of view, but at the end of the day, it was like, you were where you had your position, I had mine, but it was kind of fun, just kind of like, okay, I can see that,
yeah,
and
and
that's the cool part.
really was my client's position more than yours. I think I might agree with you more than him, but he's a very powerful executive, and he's writing
Yeah,
and his voice was my beginnings with an interesting story because I make it easy for you to write a book. I typically speaking, our process is we get an hour or two, maybe three at the most. We outline the book, and then I send you off to think about chapter one, and then we come back. You talk, I type, I write you a chapter. So if we meet on Monday, by Thursday, you've got a chapter to look at. You make some changes. Usually, typically, I get some track changes, sometimes handwritten changes, and I go fix that. I say, okay, where are we good? Are we pretty good right now? Yeah, I think we can go on to the next chapter. Next week, chapter two. This
yeah.
gentleman talks to me. He's from Jersey. He's an Italian kid like me, and he when he speaks very colloquially, and we pass curse words back and forth and Jersey jokes. And I went to write the first chapter, and I wrote it in a very colloquial manner. And he went, "You don't understand my voice." Well, then I went to listen to his podcast, and he's very, very formal. Had a big position at a big company, and he's got a very formal tone. So I went back and rewrote chapter one in his voice. And
That's funny in his voice.
chapter two and chapter three, I'm on track of how he's not a conjunction guy. He's not going to use slang terminology. He's not going to be hip and talking to 30-year-olds, which I have to sometimes think about. I have a millennial in my life. It's an adopted daughter, but so I sometimes can understand their vernacular in a way. And I not the audience. He's looking at for older and more. This is the kind of people that are making $400,000-$500,000 a year that need his assistance. So
Yeah, that, you know what, and that I love that point right there because it really ties right back to where we started, right? With who is your client, who is your person, right? And it's not necessarily, you might be teaching how you went through it or your story through it, but it doesn't mean that you are your client,
no,
right? And it's the same thing, right? At the end of the day, that who are you targeting? That's who you have to be where they are. You have to talk like they talk. You have to, I like to tell a very, I love millennials. Okay, I don't know if I've
I love them.
voiced that, right? I just think that I'm more like them than I am like an old 50-year-old. I know I say that all the time.
We're
Um,
the world's oldest millennials, you and I.
yeah, we are. If they'd only let us in. But I tell that is because I have a speech that I talk about millennials, right? And just about how they think differently than we think. And if that's who we're targeting, then we need to think like them. Well, I just got a nudge saying that we are over time. We could talk all day. So I want you to come back because we have a lot to talk about. So hopefully you'll do that. And one of the things that I love to do is ask a question that has nothing to do with anything that we've talked about. And because we're talking about books, I want to know, and I'll close the show and you have time to think about it. I want to know, what is your favorite book? and why. One of your favorite books and why. I'm sure you have a lot of them, so think
Oh,
about it. So
I,
I'm
I
gonna
have
close out.
one. I have
Okay, I'm gonna close out the show, and then we'll come back to hear what is your favorite book.
one.
So this, thank you for watching this edition or listening to this edition of Hump Day Happens. We've talked about so much, and I'm so excited. So please go out, and you can see all of my shows on your favorite podcast networks, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. That was a big one when I went on Spotify. It was awesome. And you can find Lil at Longbar Creatives. You can find me on my Facebook page, Levity Leadership. You can email me at marsha@levityleadership.com. Let's have a conversation. Let's get the conversation going. Okay, so your favorite book?
I always answer the same way because it is my favorite book. My favorite book is The Razor's Edge by William Somerset Maugham, written in
Mm,
the 40s or 50s. And it's, in essence, the reality is it's one man's attempt to find God in his own way, and whatever God means to you. Doesn't necessarily
mm.
this guy, but it's a wonderful book about a personal journey to discover who and what you are and how you want to live your life. And I think it's one of the best books ever written. So it's always been my favorite.
Perfect. Lil, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
We'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye.